Howdy folks, here I have the latest from ZOHD. It's the Nano Talon. Same sort of style and construction as the little dart there, and the wonderful orbit wing. Great model, this one. So this is the Nano Talon. I have the Mini Talon over there, which is one of my favourite planes. I really like the way that one flies, so I'm sort of hotly anticipating this little plane. It's been very popular in reviews lately. People seem to really like it. It seems to have outrageously long flight times, which is great. I love that. Good for small FPV gear. It has a built-in stabilizer, which is excellent. So let's pull it out and do a very quick assembly. Nice little pamphlet here telling you how to snap it together, what all the different components are, and how to connect up the stabilizer, which is very useful. Very, very quick assembly. You've got little magnets in there. We've got little square carbon fibre tubes coming out here to make the connections to operate the servos. It just pops in there. The two magnets hold them in together like that. I've already fitted the prop on. That's sort of a screw-on prop, self-locking wing spars, and a little clip to hold it in place, and also another little square tube which makes the mechanical servo connection. I like these things. Same on the other side. That's assembled, ready to go. I have to confess, I have already flown this and crashed it straight away. Something you've got to make sure you do before you go flying, and that's tighten up these servo linkages here. My problem was that they weren't tight. One of the tail control surfaces wasn't operating, so I couldn't turn the plane right basically. So I had to ditch it, try not to hit a tree. I was flying in a very small park which had high trees everywhere. Had to ditch it, and it hit the ground reasonably hard. Just broke this little piece of nose foam off. That's why I've got this hatch taped in there, because it doesn't quite engage into whatever was in there before. Anyway, that was my fault entirely. You must check that everything is tightened up and all your control surfaces are centered before you start. What else can we show you? It's got another little plastic piece here that you can mount your FPV camera on. You can also mount the FPV camera in the front here. A nice little lock for the hatch. It usually hooks into something in there, but I lost that in the crash. I don't even know what was there, so I've just made up a tape hinge. 1300 3S battery balances it nicely. You can put bigger batteries in if you want to. Go back further. XT60 plug already fitted. Here we have the stabilizer and a little ESC in here as well. Here are the servos. We've got one servo for the ailerons operating these axles, I suppose you'd call them, and two servos for the tail planes. Whatever you do, make sure they're centered and tightened up, unlike me, which made me crash on my maiden. This is where the wings plug into. It's a little plastic bracket that holds the dihedral angle. Now these little wing retaining clips, they don't really clip it in hard enough. Every time you land, the wings seem to pop out, so I'd be very tempted to jam something in there just to hold those clips down that way so the wings don't pop off. It's small enough that you don't have to take it apart anyway, really. Unless you want to pop it in a backpack or something like that. Nice little motor. It's a 2204 1870 kV. A little, what's that, a 6x4 prop, I guess. That's what it looks like to me. Now the connection leads for the stabilizer just could be half an inch longer, I think, to make them a little bit easier to connect up. I initially did have the receiver sitting up on the top here, but it's better to put it down the bottom, get it out of the way so you can keep the aerials clear. I've got my aerials taped here, one vertical, one horizontal, and there's my little receiver in there. Whenever you're using stabilizers, you have very simple mixing. You only have 100% with no mixing for each control, basically. So here's my receiver in the bottom here, and you can see we have the aileron, which is the 3-wire servo connector. Throttle is the yellow wire. Elevator is the blue wire. Rudder is the black wire. Green is the mode switch. So there we go, there's my mixing. Channel 1, 100% aileron, nothing on channel 2. Channel 3, 100% throttle. Channel 4, 100% elevator. I had to reverse it in the radio to get it to move in the right direction. Channel 5, 100% rudder, also reversed in the radio. And channel 6, I have it on my SC switch. 3 stabilization modes. With the switch in the up position, we have self-level or easy launch mode, and you can see if you tilt the plane, the aileron will go up and it'll stay up, which means it'll bring it back to level. If you lift it up, you can see the elevator is going up as well. Same with the other wing there. That's in self-leveling and auto and sort of easy launch mode, which is a good beginner mode. You can fly it around like that, just that it's pretty unresponsive. In the middle we have manual mode, and in the bottom switch we have, it's sort of an angle mode, I suppose. It's just stabilised mode. So you can see how when you lift the wing up, you get compensation, but then it goes back to neutral, so you can actually fly along at that angle if you want to. So this is the mode you would probably fly around in. It's just nicely stabilised, but you can do whatever you want to do. Nice little mixers that are already mixed in. We've got rudder mixing there as well, elevator mixing, ailerons. Now if we go back to the auto launch mode, look at this one. If you rev it up, you get a little bit of up elevator, so that's making the plane climb when you launch it. We also get some rudder compensation with the ailerons as well. I'm just operating the aileron stick, and you can see we've got a little bit of rudder compensation as well. Or is it elevator compensation? It's sort of half and half, I guess. So that's going to help you turn a little bit easier. Now that's interesting. That's going to help the roll rate, I guess. That's going to help it roll like that. But it's going to oppose the turn. If you're going to roll, there's a little bit in stabilised mode as well. Now that's all in the stabiliser board. That's not in the mix at all. This is something that they have pre-programmed. Got plenty of punch on 3S. I've seen others use 4S and it goes like a rocket then. The construction is very interesting. It's actually a hollow wing. You can feel the ribs and the hollow spaces, which keeps it very, very light, I suppose. It's EPP. It's meant to be EPP, I think. It does feel like EPP to me. It's sort of that flexy, bouncy, tough foam, although it did break off that nose bit when I had my maiden crash. Wings made out of 2 different sections. We've got the black foam on the bottom, white foam on the top, which looks quite good. I'm pretty sure it's all EPP. Little plastic landing skid on the tail there, which it probably needs because it is reasonably delicate and flexible. There are CG marks moulded into the wing. They seem to be a long way forward, but the CG does need to be quite a far way forward with this plane. People seem to be flying it on the rear of that CG mark quite successfully. That's what I found too in my first maiden, that seemed to be a good spot to fly. And the all-up weight ready to fly, 380 grams roughly. All that remains is to take it out and have a proper fly with it this time. Let's go to the field.